The idea is to write the word Bitcoin 21 million times.
First of all, why?
You should try to become the change that you want to see in the world. And I want to see in the world hyper-Bitcoinization.
That was amazing.
If you do Bitcoin, it simplifies your life. With Fiat, everything is complicated. Hyper-Bitcoinization is good, but it will take 150 years or whatever. It will take 200 years. Maybe it will never come. I'm like, I don't want to sit by and let that happen.
The obvious topic I invited you and I saw from you and you have on your Twitter feed a lot of times is the writing Bitcoin down 21 million times.
Yes.
It's a task where I'm like, first of all, why? And then it's like, how do you keep track of it? How many inks did you already buy for that, and how far you have come? Like that's like kind of my first part of the questions.
Yeah, about this subject, I could talk literally for hours on end, because this is not like I want to clarify it right from the start. I'm sane, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm not in any kind of distress psychologically. And it's not like some voice kept talking to me and said, do this thing, do this thing. This is not like some kind of wild dream or wild invention. This is something I thought about for many, many years. This has been many, many years coming. And it's like this iceberg. You have different motivations for doing things, like in psychology or like in strategy. You have different ideas and different things, and they keep on piling on top of each other. And then at some point you have make a decision. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. Like I've been into writing, using pen and paper to write stuff for all my life. I'm 37 years old right now, and since I was a little kid, I was always writing. Writing was always my thing. I always knew if I wanted to do something that I could present to the public, it would be connected to writing something down. So this is like decades and decades and decades on writing. I have 2 university degrees, 2 bachelor degrees. One of them is explicitly in language and literature, and the other is in business, but also with a minor in literature. So I always knew I would want to write something. But you know how it is as a writer, you don't know what you write about. That comes later to you. And then when I saw about Bitcoin a few years after Bitcoin came out, I'm like, I have to do something about that. I have to write something about that. And it took me many, many years. And I read so many books, like, you guys say, they read tons and tons and tons of books about Bitcoin. But some of them, like me, they take a long time to be convinced. Like I heard about Bitcoin, everybody has their Bitcoin story. Like when they heard the first time about Bitcoin, did they go all in? Did they not go all in? Did they do something with altcoins? And for me, I didn't go all in, neither into Bitcoin nor into altcoins, but it was a long journey of trying to understand Bitcoin. It was really a process, really grinding it out, grinding it in your mind, because this question to us, to you and me and to other guests who have been in Bitcoin for so long, for us, now it seems obvious why Bitcoin is so good. It's simpler, it has more hash power, it has the specific circumstances where it was invented. It's unique, but I feel like I was always an artist, and as an artist, you want to express what's inside of you, your positive feelings, but also your frustrations. And for me, trying to understand Bitcoin myself and trying to convince others, hey, this is an interesting thing. Please look at this. There's always this frustration. Like it feels like you're talking with a wall. Like when you're talking to a boomer or no coiner, and they always have another doubt. You can talk to them. Literally, I had somebody with me on a holiday. And he was like, are you really sure? Did you really do your research? Are you really certain that Bitcoin is a good thing? Or is it really maybe just magic internet money? It's gone. It's here today and gone tomorrow. And I was literally with people on holiday together. We were a group. And one of these guys, he was like, maybe I should. And he was teasing me. You know, when a no-coiner says, yeah, maybe I should look into this. Maybe I should invest it. And I was like just hammering him like, here the white paper, here this, here that, look at how central banks work, look at how the ledger work, look at how this work, that work. And at the end, he was still like, yeah, that's all very interesting, but who are you? Like why should I trust you? Why should I use this weird magic internet money? And what I wanted to do was and I feel like many Bitcoiners want to do that. They want to reach into their brain or into their heart or into their soul or whatever and tear out all the thousands of hours of work we have done and then put it on a table and be like, no, you cannot get me with, no, you haven't done the work, you don't know what you're talking about, you're just some weird conspiracy guy. No, I have done the work. And what I hope that this challenge is going to do, it's going to have basically what you are trying to do, what any podcast is trying to do, what any author is trying to do. We are trying to help people move to Bitcoinization faster. Right? That's like if you understand Bitcoin on a deep level, at some point you realize it's inevitable. It's inevitable. So we could just hang back. Yeah, like, why are you podcasting? Why am I doing anything? I've written a few articles. Why am I doing that? If it's inevitable anyway, then why not just chill and do nothing about it? And on the one hand, it's really a passion. Like, you can't stop. It's not like a passion like you're addicted. Like, I'm not addicted to writing in the same way like a drug addict is addicted to drugs. That's what I'm trying to disprove or dissuade from people, because sometimes they see my posts where I have written the words Bitcoin for thousands and thousands of times and say, are you mentally ill? Are you addicted? And to me, it's like, if you have a favorite band, if you have music, if something that you really like and you want to share it. And the other idea is a strategic idea. So again, to very briefly, the idea is I want to use paper or different paper like this, like small notepads, bigger notepads, any kind of notepads. But in the future, also other things like tapestry, anything. Like writing, for me, writing can be anything. Like, you can use a chemical and etch something into glass or into metal. As long as you use your hand, for me, it's writing. Like, if you study art, for example, if you're an art major, I'm not an art major, but I've talked to many art majors. If you talk to art majors, writing has many, many, many different forms, more than you can do in your life. There are more different writing instruments. But again, to recap, the idea is to write the word Bitcoin 21 million times. And the idea is basically to have attention for Bitcoin increase. And also the idea is, what did Satoshi Nakamoto really do? This is one of the fundamental questions in Bitcoin. And the naive or the superficial answer is, yes, Satoshi Nakamoto was this brilliant genius, like a lightning came down from heaven, and it struck this one human or group of humans, whoever Satoshi was. And this person was just creating and inventing and building Bitcoin. But if you are a little bit more sophisticated, you start to see it more like as a discovery. Like, Bitcoin was this thing out there, and Satoshi was just discovering it. Like, somebody discovered electricity. Like, if you're the scientist who discovered electricity, it was always there. You didn't create electricity. You are not Zeus. You are not God or something that created the laws of the universe. You discovered it. And Bitcoin is basically like an element, like a new element on the periodic chart that was always there, but he was discovered it. But this means if Satoshi was never born, Bitcoin would still have been discovered, but later. And that's like the entire thing. Like Elon Musk talks about it a lot. He says certain things are inevitable, but if you can push things forward, then you save a lot of lives. You save a lot of people, like the first person that discovered penicillin. It's very valuable. And so the idea is, Satoshi discovered Bitcoin, and basically Satoshi is like the example. We all want to be a little bit, when we say we are all hodling out, we are all Satoshi. The idea is that Satoshi did a very cool thing, and we are trying to honor this discovery, honor this great network. And so my idea is, like, even if I do this challenge, so again, to do this challenge, it will take me between 45 and 65 years. So I will be an old man. Maybe I will die when I'm like at 10 million or so. But I think if I'm very smart, if I write very fast, I can do it in like 40 years if I go very fast. And I should do it like in my 70s, 80s. And with today's medicine, for you and me to become 70 or 80, I think that's not unrealistic. It's not crazy. It's not easy, but it's not like I'm trying to do something that is literally physically impossible. It's not. It's possible. But I have to be happy, not smoke or not drink too much, not go to too many meetups and get drunk. And the idea is really to push adoption forward. There's this very old saying, like by Gandhi, for example. This is the strategy part. I already said it's my passion. That's like the emotional part. And now I'm coming to the strategy part. The strategy part is, why does my project of writing the word Bitcoin 21 million times, why does this help? Why does this help people? And my idea is, like Gandhi said, you should try to become the change that you want to see in the world. And I want to see in the world hyper-Bitcoinization. That's what I want to see. And there's always this argument, like, is hyper-Bitcoinization realistic? If it's realistic, how does it look like? And will it be good if it's fast? Like, there's this very, very deep rabbit hole. Like Michael Saylor says, we shouldn't have hyper-Bitcoinization too fast, because then there will be lots of turmoil. The wings will be ripped off the airplane, his engineering metaphor. But people who I really deeply respect, there are some people I really deeply respect in the Bitcoin space, like Knut Svanholm. And Knut Svanholm makes this very, very good point that says, the situation right now with Fiat is so bad, it's such a big problem that we cannot go fast enough. And my idea is when I'm sitting in these spaces with people, or not just spaces, just talking with people, and they're like, yeah, hyper Bitcoinization is good, but it will take 150 years or whatever. It will take 200 years. Maybe it will never come. I'm like, I don't want to sit by and let that happen. And it's like, I'm just one person, but I've always tried to believe in standing what you believe in. If you believe in something, you stand for it. You sign your name to it. You sign your time to it. You devote yourself to it. If you have like I have no kids, but if I had children, or if I'm gonna have children, I would make sure to really stand behind them. I would say, okay, I'm taking this responsibility, and so I'm trying to do it with my life. If I want to see something happen, then I try to make it happen myself. And so I try to brute force hyper Bitcoinization, so to speak. And it's a deep rabbit hole. This idea of why, for example, why I use certain patterns of writing and why it's specifically about handwriting. This is a very deep rabbit hole. Like I have this background with personal developments. If you watch lots of podcasts, you know about personal developments. You see all the big guys, all the big Alex Hormozy, all the Chris Williamson, and all the big guys that talk about personal development. And I've always had a deep love for personal development. I was never the kind of guy, I don't want to become a billionaire, or I don't want to have hundreds of girlfriends. There are these low-level kinds of influencers that say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be rich in 5 minutes, or I'm going to teach you some personal development hacks where you can attract women or something. That is part of personal development. But what I really like is personal development people that say, okay, you have a certain life trajectory, you have a career, you have a family, something. I'm going to help you to improve yourself. And I always had this big conflict in myself for many, many years. On the one hand, I really love personal development, specifically because, as I said, with the you want to be the change that you want to see in the world, I love it because personal development, personal improvement gives you this responsibility. If you have problems in your life, it's your responsibility to fix them. I really always hated it when people go, oh, everything is bad. It's person X, Y, Z. It's everybody else's fault. I think it's a very good philosophical idea to take responsibility as much as you can. Like if you get hit by lightning, yeah, you can control it. But almost anything else you can do something about. If you get sick, you can try to improve your diet and everything. If you have money problems, you can try to improve your career. On the one hand, I really, really love personal development. That's also what's in this writing, because if you know the old style of personal development, it's a lot of manifestation, a lot of repetition. Like if you know the old guys like Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, the old guys, they were a lot about speaking. Let's say you want to become a very great basketball player, then if you speak to actual basketball players or to football players or to ski or to basketball players or football players or any kind of sports or swimming, they do training, but they also do manifestation. They repeat it. What they do, they repeat it. I want to get better. I want to break my record. I want to go 1 second faster. I want to be able to hit a better percentage. I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in astrology. I'm not hateful of it, but I believe in mathematics, and physics. That's why we're in Bitcoin, right? We believe in physics. We believe in mathematics, but I also believe in human psychology, and I think that personal development, personal growth, reflecting on your life, like all the way until I found Bitcoin, I felt like something was missing in my life, and this reflection and finding something that is missing in your life, that is very important. But there was always this big disconnect. On the one hand, I love personal development. I love people like you who do podcasts about specific things. I really like your podcast, as I've told you before, but I've also loved podcasts that are specifically about personal development. But there was always this disconnect. On the one hand, I loved personal development, but on the other hand, I always loved free markets. I loved the idea of free markets. And if you read about free markets, about Mises and all the other people that come after Mises, Austrian economics and stuff, what you read all the time is that they say, oh, the government is at fault. Like everything has problems, everything is bad. And if the government wouldn't intervene, then everything will be better. Like Bitcoin is the best example. Like the idea for Bitcoin is the government, or like Friedrich Hayek that said, the government meddled with the money, and they not only froze the development of money, they prevented the money from getting better. Everything else got better, but the money was frozen, and they made it worse. So if you read Austrian economics, that's like my logical side, right? In this work, I'm trying to reflect like my emotional side and my logical side, like left brain and right brain. And it's like there was always this conflict. On the one hand, I said, my emotion said, I want to stop being a whiny little guy. I want to grow up. I want to take responsibility. I want to move forward. I want to do personal development. I want to tackle my problems, tackle my weight, tackle my career, tackle my honesty, tackle my work ethic, like everything you want to improve about yourself on the one hand. On the other hand, I have this wonderful intellectual philosophy that explains so much. I love Austrian economics because it explains so much. It explains why Bitcoin is so good. It explains the business cycles. It explains why interventionism doesn't work. I mean, and there was always this conflict because on the one hand, I said, I want to take total responsibility for my life. But my other side said, I have to assign blame to the government. And like the one side said this and the other side said this. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, at some point, okay, I have to make like a stand. It was like emotionally and logistically, it was like I needed to make a decision. And then I have like this long list of inspirations, because then to go from what I said right now, what my plan is with doing, my plan is to have my own emotions settled. I want to do something that combines my personal development personal development, me, the Robben that wants to do personal development, and the Robben that wants to do Austrian economics. And I feel like with Bitcoin, you can do both. If you do Bitcoin, it simplifies your life. Like, also with Fiat, everything is complicated. Like you take a job and you put money somewhere and it's terrible. It's everything. You have to become like Michael Saylor said, the taxi driver who wants to save for their retirement. He has to become a stock speculator. And he has to say, oh, is Apple gonna beat Amazon, or is Amazon gonna be beaten by Microsoft? It's crazy. And with Bitcoin, you have this one thing. And this one thing, and I have like so many inspirations. It's absolutely crazy. Like for doing it. Like one of the best ways to compare it directly is like Mr. Beast. Everybody knows Mr. Beast. He's a very, very famous and very, very powerful and very hardworking YouTuber. And one of the early videos was, I think you probably remember that, when he counted to 200,000. I think most people have heard about that. And I was like, this is so stupid, but it's so effective. Like, this is something I want to do, but I'm like, I want to do it more extreme. I want to beat Mr. Beast. Every content creator on YouTube, what's your goal? You used to want to beat PewDiePie, but now we want to beat Mr. Beast. And I'm like, since I'm probably not gonna have more explosive shows and videos than him, I'm probably going to do something that he did, but I did much more extreme. But Mr. Beast is just one of many, many, many inspirations. Another inspiration is a very famous athlete and personal development speaker is David Goggins. David Goggins is a very, very, very famous guy. I think everybody who is on Twitter X knows David Goggins. He has like the story where he was like in a life situation, little bit like me, but much more extreme. He had like, I think everybody had like growing up had certain phases of depression, or certain phases of, oh, what am I doing with my life? I can't do anything. But for me, it was never clinical. I never went as far as he did. David Goggins he's still alive, obviously. He was born in a wealthy neighborhood, but his father abused him incredibly much, and he had all this psychological baggage. He had such huge inner demons. He was like totally broken as a man, and he says like, I'm so broken as a person. The only way to get out is to go extreme. That is something that I really, really, as I said, I have wonderful parents. My parents are absolutely crazy good. But for me, the depression was not about myself or my parents or my immediate surroundings. My depression was always about the world, about things. You see wars in the world. You see economic problems. You see people being poor, people being harassed by their regimes or killed. That's what always depressed me. Like, I was never the guy like David Goggins that said, "Oh my God, I as a person, I am so broken, I am so terrible, I have to reform myself." I was always about the world. But the way David Goggins describes this, I think many Bitcoiners can relate to, because he describes this enormous obstacle. For us Bitcoiners, this enormous obstacle is trying to displace fiat. By whatever means, we will do it in the end, but we try to displace fiat and we try to put Bitcoin in its place. But to me, this is very, very similar to the way David Goggins has tried to fight his own inner struggle to go out of poverty, out of being dyslexic, out of being uneducated, out of feeling like he's a total failure. To me, this old David Goggins that he tried to kill, to slaughter, and to replace by this new persona that he made, Goggins, to me, this is like the Fiat system. And his idea was, life is very difficult. If you want to do something in your life, it's very, 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 very difficult. I myself, I have worked several jobs. I'm not a big CEO. I'm not a big manager. I am myself, don't have any capacity to lecture about other people, but I talk to many, many very successful people. I talk to self-made millionaires, very, very big company CEOs who had everything, who had all the education, all the Ivy League or the European equivalent of the Ivy League, sometimes the direct Ivy League when they go to America. They had everything. And they told me like, doing something, getting to this position and doing my job is incredibly, incredibly difficult. Like if you have the ambition like David Goggins to do something that is really, really, really very difficult, you have to work incredibly, incredibly hard. You have to really, really torture yourself. And this is what he did. If you read, I recommend everybody, David Goggins is not a Bitcoiner, and I don't want to put any words in his mouth, but he's an incredibly, incredibly good practical philosopher. I would recommend everybody to buy his book or to at least listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, because he's like, you have to grow up. We live in this society, in this Fiat society specifically, I would say, where everybody tries to shield you from harm. Like that's like I think Milton Friedman said it. Like if you put Fiat into a system, it's like you are putting drugs into somebody. You put anesthesia into somebody. You take the pain away, and that is the wrong way. In my opinion, we as Bitcoiners learn from David Goggins that we have to go towards pain. Like people cannot appreciate what it means to write Bitcoin 300,000 times. So far, I have written it 313,000 times and something right now within a span of about 10 months. So I write about 1,000 words per day because I'm working full time right now. So writing 1,000 words a day right now is pretty good. Like a good writer does about that. If you're like a novelist, if you're like a professional novelist who does this full time. I work full time, so writing 1,000 words a day is pretty difficult. If you are like a super duper hardcore novelist, like the best of the best, like the best, most prolific novelist, you write like 2,500 words a day, and that's like my goal. If I can become like Brandon Sanderson, the famous author, and write 2,500 words, then it's more likely that I'm gonna survive this thing. But yeah, the idea of David Goggins is like the idea that it can give everybody, that it can give to you, to anybody, is if you want to really make something at a world level, you have to be extreme. Like if you watch the interviews of Chris Williamson, Alex Hormozy, they have Chris Williamson, the other guys, Lex Friedman, whatever, they have interviewed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of guests. They interviewed the cream of the crop. They interviewed Elon Musk. They interviewed anybody. And the best of the best, they interviewed Kobe Bryant. The best people say, if you want to do something, you have to be really, really committed. You have to be really crazy. You have to be really, really crazy. And my idea is like, I am a writer. It's in my DNA. Like if you slice me open, like writing is in my DNA. I remember my mother teaching me writing back then. And I always remembered like mathematics, like doing all the multiplication tables and everything. I was like always, what's this? But when she taught me how to write the letters, I remember it like it was today. I remember it like the first time I heard about Bitcoin, basically. These are like the two fundamental things that influenced me in my life. My mother teaching me writing and me learning about Bitcoin. I can remember the letters and I was like, this is something I'm going to do. But that's the second problem. If you know that you're going to do something, you have to do it. And this is something where a lot of people struggle. Especially with Bitcoin. If somebody asks me, I want to do something with Bitcoin, I'm not sure, I want to do this, that, then do it. Like the problem is the fiat system trains you to ask for permission. That's the problem. Like I don't say break the law. I'm not somebody that says it's smart to break the law, because if you break the law, that's stupid. You're just ruining your own life. But you don't have to break the law. If you, for example, if you like somebody and you want to ask them out, ask, hey, do you want to have a date with me or something? Or if you want to think about, let's say you want to switch careers, then people ask me, I'm afraid to quit my job and I'm afraid to look into this career. Yeah, then look into it. Like this is like, I'm 37 years old right now, Robin. I wasted so many years where I could have been doing this. Like basically all really, really good personal developments, all really good life philosophers, all really, really powerful philosophers was about people that either said, yes, I'm going to do it, or people that said, oh my God, should I do it? And they worried for 20 years like me. And in the end, they say, I shouldn't have worried for 20 years. Like if you have all the super successful people, Elon Musk, for example, he knew that he was going to be an engineer and he was going to be a big business person, and this engineering business would change the world. You can have all kinds of opinion about Elon Musk. I've talked about many free market guys. They criticize Elon Musk for this, that, and the other. That's all fine. I'm not gonna sanctify. I don't think you should put any human being on a pedestal and say this person is holy. And if I ever get successful in the next 20 years with this, I don't want people to put me on a pedestal. I think anybody can do it. Anybody can do anything they want. But you have to do it. It's really it sounds stupid, but the first step is always 80% of the energy. If you have a big problem, like say you want to change your relationship, you want to learn a new skill, you want to learn a new language, you want to learn mathematics, you want to learn physics, you want to learn Bitcoin, you want to learn how to become a Bitcoin core developer, you want to apply to Blockstream and work on their Blockstream Liquid, and you have to learn this language and that language. Many people that say, oh, I have this job and I hate this job and I don't do much at my job, but because I hate it so much, yeah, then do something with your job, and after the job, do something else. That's like that's a real big psychological thing. That's really, really deep. And I have so many different inspirations for this. Another big inspiration is gaming. I've always been very big in gaming, not so much in playing video games. I've played a lot of video games, but I've always admired people who do big things in video games. Like I told you about Mr. Beast already. Before I discovered Mr. Beast, there was already PewDiePie, and every content creator, everybody who tried Twitch streaming or YouTube, PewDiePie was always the great thing. And if older people, they say, oh, video gaming, why can this be good? In my opinion, it's very good. It's a very good medium, but it's also a way for self-development. If you look at like the really, really big video gaming people, like right, Shroud or some people, like the really big gaming, I think gaming is a very, very big thing. And I see that, for example, Bitcoin and gaming, they will have a future, but I'm not specifically, I don't want to propose any specific links between gaming and Bitcoin. I'm not like, I want to make an altcoin that is used for my game or something. I just draw a lot of inspiration from gaming for it. Like I watch a lot of RuneScape players, old school RuneScape. Old school RuneScape is such a hilarious game. Old school RuneScape, for those people who don't know it, it's a very, very old game like World of Warcraft, but it's very, very old and it's very, very bad graphics. But what those people did, that inspired me like nothing else. That inspired me like nothing else, because these people say, okay, you can play this game, and as I said, this inspired me like this is so weird, but this inspired me for specifically what I'm doing. They say, okay, playing the normal game is not difficult enough. It's not repetitive. And normally, RuneScape is the most repetitive game you can ever imagine. You like walk your character with a mouse to a tree. You click the tree. Your character chops the tree. The tree is chopped. You go to the next tree, you chop it. Then the first tree has regrown, and you chop it again. And after a while, you take your logs, you bring them to a bank, and you start chopping again. Or if you want to be really fancy, you drop the logs on the ground, and you start chopping again, because you get experience points for chopping this log. But you can also kill dragons. It's like a fantasy RPG. But the insane thing is, there are a few people that I admire almost more than any other content creators. They are RuneScape players. One of them is called Settled. Another guy is called Verve, and another one is called UIM Mudkip. These people, they do the most crazy things. Like people will say I'm crazy, but everybody who thinks I'm lying, I'm making this up, you can look it up on YouTube. Settled, like the word settled. Mudkip, like the Pokemon Mudkip, or Verve. Like you just type UIN Verve and you find him. And what they do is they have specific restricted accounts. Like everybody who's a little bit into video gaming, you know what restricted accounts are. Restricted, you can restrict yourself to anything. You can say, I want to play the game without certain benefits. I want to fight the bosses, but I'm only going to use certain weapons. And what these guys are doing is they make accounts and they make extremely, extremely, extremely tight restrictions. For example, Settled made an account that forced him to only play in one region of the game. And the game is like in Warcraft. In Warcraft, you have different games. You have the alliance countries, you have the orc countries. But in this RuneScape game, the areas are called differently. One area is called Mauritania, and yet this one area, Mauritania, said, I want to achieve the highest possible boss kill. I want to kill the highest possible boss in that area, but I'm only allowed to play in that area, only allowed to get experience in that area, and only allowed to kill monsters in that area, and only allowed to collect equipment there. And this caused him to work about 2 years on this one thing, and he was doing the same thing all the time. He was live streaming and he making YouTube videos. He was usually, for example, you take coal to your bank and that's it. But he had no bank. He had a restricted account without a bank, and he was doing it in one area, and he had to mine like a little inventory of coal because his inventory was filled with other stuff because he has no bank. He had everything in his inventory. He was walking for 15 minutes. He was processing this one inventory and I had to walk back. So he had to basically doing the same thing for 2 years straight. I was like, yes. And he has like 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm like, I'm not crazy. Doing the same thing over and over again, like Mr. Beast. This is something. There's a market for that. There's a market for doing crazy things, and I'm like, I want to do that. Like, also, like Settled, I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. Like Settled, there's variation. If you look through my Twitter, I vary my things. I have different colors, different things. I'm in my spare time. I'm looking at drafting. I want to make paintings. I want to make for all these people who are into Bitcoin. Obviously, everybody should follow Fractal Encrypt, the Bitcoin artist. He made the big statue for Michael Saylor. Whenever Michael Saylor has like his speech, he has like this Fractal Encrypt note statue behind him. He's a genius. I want everybody to follow him and also to support him buying his stuff. And also the German Bitcoiner Apex Bitcoin, who does these drawings, who does these Bitcoin drawings. I'm like, when I saw that, it was like a revelation. Like, I'm not a religious person. I don't condemn religion. I'm not like I hate religion or anything. I know he has religious context. Some of them, like the Pietas and these images that can come from Christianity. But for me, it was a revelation, not a religious revelation.
I'm super excited to announce that this podcast got the first ever sponsor. 21 Bitcoin is Bitcoin only from day one, and they teach and preach self-custody. This is my go-to exchange when someone asks me, oh, where can I buy my Bitcoin from? This is the easiest entry for Bitcoiners. And if you want lower fees, plus at the same time support this podcast, use code Robben and click the link in the description.
You can do this, and you can do this in a way that really provides value to people. Like, I don't know if people are ever going to give me money for what I do. I don't know, but I see this guy, and he tells his life story, and he came from very humble beginnings. He worked like in a supermarket. I know he was like a supermarket shift supervisor, so nothing special, everything all right, nothing bad, nothing extreme, and he started doing what he loved. He said he loved working with Bitcoin, but he found this as his creative outlet. And I wish more people would do that. I wish more people would go and use their passion to go about it. That's like one of the major influences. Another major influence is like Verve. And again, I don't want to put these old school RuneScape. You can check out their content, but I don't want to connect them to Bitcoin. They have nothing to do with Bitcoin. They have never endorsed Bitcoin. I've never given them Bitcoin. They have never given me Bitcoin. They have nothing to do with it. I'm just quoting them as an inspiration. So not as to put any words into their mouth. The other guy is Verve, and he plays like an Iron Man that is even more restricted. He doesn't restrict himself to an area. He restricts himself to a chunk. Chunks are basically the little thing. Like if you play Minecraft, chunks are like the thing that make up your area. And he plays like in this one little chunk, and he has to make all the achievements happen in this chunk before he can move to the next. He does have a bank because he's just an Iron Man, but he's so extremely restricted that it's even more repetitive. And what he did was he had to kill one type of boss monster for 1.5 years straight. 1.5 years, this person, and he also has over 100,000 followers. He has like good income. He has much more successful than 90% of all the YouTubers. And he killed this one monster, and he live streamed, and people showed up, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and they're all there. Let me subscribe to you. Let me cheer you bits. Let me give you money, and all the other ways that you can support people on Twitch. And it's like, I want to do that. I want to go on Twitch and do this writing. I have a Twitch channel already. It's linked on my YouTube already. But currently, I'm not streaming on Twitch right now, because currently my idea is I have tried Twitch streaming under many different contexts, and usually it was just to test the medium, because I'm so excited about this medium, because I think it's so cool to do something, to stream something, and people can interact with you live. That's why I'm every Sunday I'm in the German Bitcoin space, the 21 Stammtisch, because I think it's so cool that the internet makes it possible for people to go together and to share their interests and to talk to each other. So I always did a lot of Twitch. I have lots of friends on Twitch, lots of people I talk to, but I'm currently not streaming because my idea is I'm trying to focus on a thing. I'm trying to build this thing up, and my idea is I don't want to. Another thing that people may ask when they view this, ask themselves when they view this podcast, or when they look at my Twitter X account, they say, does this guy think he's like some kind of super artist, some superstar, and that he thinks he's so great and people are supposed to worship him or give him attention? No, I believe in the free market and I believe in merit. I've spent about 500 hours so far, give and take a few hours. I haven't counted every single hour I'm writing, because sometimes you just eat something or write a podcast and you're writing, and is it really an hour worked? Is it not an hour worked? Sometimes I sit there, listen to music and write. But I don't want people to think, I want everybody to give me tons of money. This is very realistic, that this podcast is the only thing I ever do in public with any podcaster ever, and nothing is ever going to happen to it. And that's okay. My opinion is we don't allow ourselves to fail enough. Like real creativity, there's this old poem by Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut is a very, very famous writer. Obviously, if you're into writing, you know some of the very famous writer. Again, I don't want to endorse Kurt Vonnegut. He has socialistic tendencies. He has this, that, and the other. I don't want to debate any person's merit. But he has this wonderful quote that really also influenced me long before I know about Austrian economics and everything like that. But it influenced my life. He said, sometimes you feel like your soul is just not growing. Like you're doing stuff and you're not going forward, and you feel like you're doing stuff, you're going through the emotion, but you feel like inwardly you are going backwards. Outwardly, you have a job, you have obligations, you have friends, family, everything, but inwardly you feel like you're going backwards. And then he said, just sit down, write a poem, write it to the best of your abilities, put really some sweat. I don't know the exact wording, but I think he said he put really some sweat into it, and then just put it to a side. And if it doesn't come up, if nobody asks you about it, then it's okay. So for me, if I do this 21 million Bitcoin, if I spend decades and decades and decades of my life doing it, and nobody cares for it, that's okay. And that's like my message to you. That's not only my message to you right now as my interviewer in this podcast, and I'm not putting it to anybody who listens to it. But even if the world gets hit by an asteroid and hyper-Bitcoinization is delayed by this asteroid, and 150 years later we are at current technology, and people somehow go through the rubble, and when they look for all the full nodes from Bitcoin that are buried, and among the full nodes, some of the Bitcoin has podcasts on a hard drive, and he finds the Robben4Days podcast, and he looks, oh, there's this Robben guy, and maybe in the future they have found my stuff, and they said, oh, this is really curious. Maybe I am one of the few Bitcoin artists that are maybe everything else got burned, and they find my stuff, and they're like, hey, this is pretty weird. And if you listen to this, don't ask for permission too much. This is how we get into this problem, asking for permission too much, saying maybe my government will not like me if I hold Bitcoin. Yeah, your government is certainly not going to like you if you hold Bitcoin. I'm not saying to you, go out there and break the law. I'm not going to tell you, go to your neighbor and buy his car for 1.5 Bitcoin, or for half a Bitcoin, or whatever the price is higher right now, and then post on it on the internet and say, hey, I bought a car for Bitcoin and I'm happy I evaded taxes, and here's my address and here's everything we did. No, I'm just saying, don't go out of your way and ask for permission. It's legal. Bitcoin has no legal obstacle to just buying and holding it. So just don't hold back so much. Right? Like everybody is so afraid, and I'm sorry. And everybody like also when you're in traditional investing, like it's crazy. Like when you looking at my words, I've written the word Bitcoin 313,000 times. Why am I doing this? Because I'm going crazy. Because I'm saying the same words over and over again. I just want to rip them out of my head and just throw it at people, non-violently, but throw it at them. That's saying them, no, I'm not some noob. I'm convinced. Like Michael Saylor said, what you need to do. I've watched your, as I told you, I've watched your podcast. I've seen you put more and more podcasts out, and I've seen you. They're not just thrown out there. You really put them out. You select very good guests. You select guests that I would personally admire. Not every single one, but those that I managed to view, I really admire them. You have to be convinced. But you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't put your name there, Robben Seyr. And you have to be convinced. Like you can't do anything if you're not convinced. It's you have to have some. I'm more of the fire guy. Like in the spaces on Saturday, I'm not the best. Explaining code to you. I can explain to you the high level concept of Bitcoin, but I have friends and acquaintances and other people on Twitter, X, and somewhere that are much better. If somebody has a very complicated question, I say refer to this guy. He's so smart. Or better yet, refer to sometime this guy has written about. But because most people who are really good about the technology of Bitcoin, they really also have written something very smart about most topics that you can think of. Like why is it stupid to massively increase the block size? What is the deal with how does mining work, hashing work, whatever? But I'm more of the emotion guy. Like if I go on podcasts, I want to put my emotion out there, and I always get this binary response, like a binary response, either the one side or the other side. And some people, they look at my work and say he's crazy. Like at the first when I breached 100,000 words written in the first couple of months, people were like, yeah, that's some gag. At the second month, at the second milestone at 200,000 words, people were like, okay, what? And right now, the response I get, it's either binary, he's crazy, he's sick, he's a psychopath, he's autistic, he's mentally disturbed, he needs a doctor, he needs to, and it's like I feel like people are so used to asking permission that if they view this crazy colorful bird out there that does not fit their scheme, they always say like this person has to be crazy. Like if you talk to older people and say, hey, maybe the government being so tightly in control of your money, deciding what you can do or not do with your money. If you want to send money somewhere, you have to ask your bank, please send the money, because if you go to your bank and you click like send the money, then it doesn't say yeah, it's sent. It says like it's been taken, it's been entgegengenommen. Like yeah, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. And if you question it, people go nuts. They say, what are you crazy? Money, like even economists, like German economist Hans-Werner Sinn. Again, I don't want to do character assassination. I don't want to slander anybody. That's not my style. My style is not to beat somebody down. I think Hans-Werner Sinn had many good points. He is one of the few mainstream economists that from time to time says, yeah, maybe we shouldn't increase our government debt and inflation like crazy. Maybe that's not a good idea. But he was asked by somebody, I don't know, remember if it's a Bitcoiner, like, yeah, Mr. Sinn, you're so wise and you're so accomplished and you have warned politicians and people so much of inflation, but why about Bitcoin? And he's like, no. Bitcoin has to be in the Hand des Staates, in the hand of the government. And it's like this idea to ask permission to do something. It reminds you like when Satoshi made this Genesis block and this it's so reminiscent of the Reformation, the religious Reformation, because it reminds you so much of when people were in the Middle Ages and they had to permission what to think. Like my wife is sick. You had to ask your priest, yeah, my wife is sick. Is this a punishment from God? Is this a challenge from God? If this is a punishment from God, is this something that I can deal with you? Can I pay you money? If I can pay you money, can I do and if I can pay you money, is it okay for my heart? They were talking about their own heart, not just that they were asking in their heart, what am I allowed to believe? Like, okay, I'm going to pay you money. You're my priest, and am I allowed to believe in my heart if my wife is sick or not? And today we would say, no, you're not supposed to ask somebody what to believe. You're supposed to ask science. You're supposed to look at Wikipedia and at doctors and say, what specialist can I bring my wife to find a scientific answer to her ailment? And that's what we do with Bitcoin. We don't ask permission for the government what we can do and what we cannot do with our money. We ask science, we ask Wikipedia, and then we ask Google, and then we ask after we have found all the different things, we research it, and then we look at what the right position is, and that is what I want more people to do, to go for it, because a thing that David Goggins also said that is very true is there's a lot of suffering in life. Like this is nothing new. If I say to you there's a lot of suffering in life, I'm not disturbed. You don't need to call some mental institution if I say my life has suffering, your life has suffering. I think that's normal. And David Goggins says, then bring it on. David Goggins is really, he has like experienced the most amount of suffering possible. Like if you read about David Goggins challenges when he was trying to go from being this absolutely crazy Navy SEAL, went through 3 hell weeks, went through the worst possible training with the worst possible injuries, in the worst possible kind of repetition, the worst possible weather possible. He went from that to becoming an ultra runner, and you read his story of how what his body looked like. Like he was literally dying, like his body was dissolving, like his organs were dissolving, blood was, I can't even talk about it without it being too gruesome. His whole body was dissolving. He was literally dying, and he said he went through the worst possible pain. Like there's this, when you go through a doctor, and I think either when you're pregnant or when you're injured, there's like this pain scale. And he said that he was at the maximum pain scale, and he said and that's okay. He said pain is part of life. I have experienced all the pain necessary. And if you listen to this podcast, if you are out there, your pain is something, obviously, David Goggins also said it, obviously if you have some recurrent psychological issue, you should obviously talk to people. You should not put the pain inside of yourself. You should seek medical help always. But what his lecture is, that no matter what you do, even if you have the best psychologist, everything is okay, they diagnose you, you are completely healthy, you're still going to have challenges. It's still going to be painful. It's still going to be, you don't want to be like David Goggins. You don't want to let your life go so much into the ruin that only massive action can get you out of it. But his idea is life is full of pain, and you should use that pain. You should use negative emotions. Like for me, I was so depressed during many parts of my life, so depressed. And again, it was not because I'm just a human being. I realized I'm a human being. I'm flawed. If I do something, maybe nobody cares about it. That's okay. But my sadness comes from the world not working. Like what drives me crazy is when you see economists like Hans-Werner Sinn or many other people who are so smart, who should know the answer, and they just want to throw this at their face and say, no, you have not done the work. I have done the work. They say, they go like the Jamie Dimon response. Don't talk to me about Bitcoin. I'm like, yes, I want to talk to you about Bitcoin, and I'm one of the millions of people around the whole world. Like Bitcoin has recently gone into $1 trillion market cap again. Like this is not something where you say, as a banker, as one of the most powerful banking people on planet Earth, this is not where you say, no, I don't want to talk about Bitcoin. My message is, yes, I want to talk about Bitcoin, and I'm not going to stop. Like David Goggins says, I'm not going to stop. And just to finish this one point, there's this binary thing when people view my post. Obviously, many people look at my post and they don't know what it is. They click on. There's lots of content. Like right now, I'm not special, but I believe if I do it for many years, if I go into millions of words at some point, I will be special, at least in the sense I've had the world record in this thing. Then objectively, I've done something that I at least can be proud of. But as I said, there's this one part of people that really, they look at my stuff and they say, you're crazy, you're ill, stop doing that. They misunderstand. But the other people, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy, like somebody who, you play music your whole year, everybody tells you you can be a musician, everybody tells you you need to do this, that, and the other, and you always ask permission, like I did for 20 years, or you can't be a writer, you have to just disagree. You can't be a writer, you have to read 700 novels and books about this. You can't be a writer, you can't be this. If, for example, if you're a musician, everybody tells you, no, you have to be an accountant, you can't be a musician, and you play, and some people genuinely like your stuff, and they generally say, yes, Robin, you have just started, like say you're like me, you have played your musical instrument for 10 months, and somebody, let's say a musician, says, yes, I really see you can do cool stuff, I really think this song you have written or this song you've interpreted, this is really good, then this is like priceless. You can't change this for anything. And this is like the second kind of people that react to my content. The first kind said like, you're crazy, you're sick, you're ill, go seek help, stop doing that. I'm basically saying I'm offended that you did. And the other people say, they snip their fingers and said, I got it. Like just with David Goggins, the same thing. Some people look at this guy and they see this guy who is like the most broken and destroyed person, had nothing going for him, and he started fighting, he started going up like we Bitcoiners sometimes here. Sometimes you feel like you're broken, you're defeated. Your banker says, I'm going to block your transition. Your best friends say to you, you're crazy, I don't want to hear about this Bitcoin. The people you spend you spend your blood, sweat, and tears on trying to convince them. They say no. I think they sell to you not directly because people hate being direct, but indirectly you say, I think you're a loser. I think you're wasting your time. I think you're spending. We Bitcoiners, if you're crazy, if you're a serious Bitcoiner, you spend thousands and thousands of hours. And what they say to us, you are crazy, you Bitcoiners. You are crazy. I heard about this other thing. Even better, I heard about this other coin. It's gonna win because I heard about it for 5 minutes. This other coin, it's gonna kill Bitcoin. And some people, they just snip their fingers and say, I got it. Some of them are Bitcoiners, but what's even cooler in my opinion, because some Bitcoiners like my stuff because they say, hey, I like Bitcoin. Hey, Robben4Days is doing some Bitcoin content. I like the Bitcoin content, and I do it too. We all like Bitcoin content because we like it when people do Bitcoin content. And even if it's not something that we really, really say, yeah, this really made my day, or this really, really fascinated me. Even then we say it's cool, it's good. Then we press like. But what I like even more is when people who are actually not Bitcoiners press the like button, retweet it, and even if they say, yeah, I like it, because then you do something that speaks to the human condition. Something where you say, when something bothers you so much, when something is so dear to you, that you say, okay, I'm going to make this huge goal. Like for example, when Elon Musk said, I want to put people on Mars and I want to build a city on Mars. People say he's crazy. People say he's absolutely literally insane. But I've read like all his biographies. I've read his new biographies. His new biography I'm like halfway through, but I've read his previous biography, and I've listened to many repetitions of all his interviews, and I've listened to people who directly work with him, and they said to him, this goal, the city on Mars, is really something to do. And again, I don't want to make any comments on Elon Musk. I don't want to make any comments if it's possible, if it's good to make a city on Mars, but I just want to people, if you have a cool dream, if you have a cool emotion, be sane about it, be clever about it. I still have a job. Like, this is something that you might ask yourself, are you just an unemployed person doing this? No, I'm not a Bitcoin whale. I took many years to learn about it, and I have a full-time job. I have a good relationship with my friends and family. I'm a normal person on the surface, maybe, but it's okay. You can be a normal person. Like, there's this new personal development guy who's not a personal development guy. His name is Thor. He's really called Thor, like the god, and he developed this game, Hardbound, and he makes many shorts on YouTube, and he gives people advice about video game making, and it's really about life advice. In my opinion, video game making, as I said, is an art form. It's beautiful. It's an art. A really well-made video game can touch your soul just like Shakespeare can. Maybe it's not historically so significant like Hamlet or Macbeth. Maybe they are more significant, granted, but I think your heart and your soul can be touched by something. That's why the game is called Hardbound, because it has something to do with that theme. And he says, like, it's okay. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to be homeless, unemployed. You don't need to be like David Goggins and literally go 5% before killing yourself, or 1%. You can make your dreams come true. You can make it with Bitcoin. You can make it with anything. Just be sensible. Have a new regular job, but have also a realistic way where don't ask for permission. He says it about video gaming. What I see in Bitcoin is Thor, and again, he has no direct link to Bitcoin. Same disclaimer as with the other guys I quoted. He says like you have to go slow, go for slow steps. Before I did this, people said to me, why do you think, Robben, that you can write the word Bitcoin 21 million times? Why do you think you have the qualification? And I could show them so much qualification. I have been writing so many words. I've been writing since I could write. I have a degree in the university where we did Chinese as a degree. I have a fully fledged. I can prove people that I studied fully fledged Chinese bachelor degree. Sadly, I forgot many of the Chinese whatever, but I can prove I can get the degrees where I have fully fledged. I was born in Germany. I learned English as a second language, where I did fully fledged Chinese degrees, and I was sitting there and was like, I don't know if I'm going to use Chinese, but I know I'm going to use the writing for something. And I was always like, yeah, but all these people, I read so many articles. There's so many books and articles. How do you become a writer? And I was always like, oh, I have to do all these things. I have to, if I want to become a fiction writer, I have to read all of Brandon Sanderson and all of the other stuff that Tolkien's heirs like The Witch in the Wardrobe and everything. You have to read that. You can't be a writer if you don't have read this impossible list. And everybody has this impossible list. And at some point I was like, no, I'm just wasting time. It's not about me being a novelist. I don't want to be a J.K. Rowling. I don't want to be a Brandon Sanderson. I don't want to be Tolkien. I just want to do this thing. And I think many people have this preconception. And Thor says it too in his YouTube shorts. He says many people think to make a video game or to do something creative with video games, you have to be John Carmack. You have to have 20 years or 30 years in C++. You have to be the best. You have to be in the encyclopedia for your language. You have to be Bjarne Saustrup. You have to have memorized all C++ libraries. C++, one of the most difficult languages you can ever imagine doing that. No, you can just do it. And that's like, that's the message. And I know today I'm not a very well-known person, but my idea is to go on with it, have new ideas. I have many new ideas. As I said, I don't want to make promises that I can keep. I'm not going to have imposter syndrome. That's why I talked like for 57 minutes straight right now. But I'm not ashamed. I don't have imposter syndrome. I don't think I'm a babbling fool that talks about stuff that he's not supposed to talk about or talking out of league. I did the work. And if people react to it, if some people said, yeah, I'm going to retweet it, repost it, people can support me. If I have enough reposts, I'm going to switch to, I'm going to also do Twitch streams. People then will be able to sub to my Twitch stream. I'm going to be able to do custom content. And maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But my idea is that is like the story as good as I can tell them to you. That's it, basically.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I had like at least like 25 times where I want to go in here and I want to talk about that specific topic with you because it seems so interesting. But
you did a very good job. This is very, very difficult what you did because everybody is trigger happy. It's like when you're a sniper and you're looking at a crowd of people and you want to get the bad guy, but the shot is bad. Everybody wants to do, and you didn't. This is very, very good. This sounds like flattery, but it's not easy what you do. It's not easy actually.
Yeah, it's so important when you interview people that you let them speak because I think as I discovered when I listen to someone, the brain automatically thinks of things you did with that thing. Like it thinks about, oh, he did that, and I do this too, and it's fascinating, and it's really, really hard to do it in the interviews. But I always try to do it and let the guest speak. Yeah. And
it's like with Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman is very known. He is one of the biggest podcasters ever, and most of what he do is like, oh, this is amazing, and people are like, why is he so good? And then you watch most interviews, like most legacy media, and they like the German talk shows, they always interrupt, and you're like, oh, why isn't this so good? Why doesn't millions of people watch the German? I don't want to call somebody out because they haven't mastered their craft. They haven't done the work and mastered the self-discipline and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it was a no-brainer from the day one on because I really enjoy Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, all those podcasts. And Joe Rogan maybe also talks a lot in his podcast, but he's really good also in interviewing. But Lex Friedman, he's a master of interviewing.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to talk about still with you, even though we are at 1 hour mark.
It's so good it has a timer, otherwise I would have gone to 2 hours and you would have had to cut me off. So it's very good that your software here has the counter. It works very well.
You have a really clear mind, I think. Like you have a really, you sorted your thoughts, and I really like walking. Like I like just walking in the woods, in the forest, and clear my thoughts and sort my thoughts. And it's usually when I do not the exact thing that I'm supposed to do, that I think of solutions and I think of new ideas about something because my brain has time to breathe. And I thought like probably for you, this when you work full time, you consume content, you learn about new stuff, you do maybe other stuff also. When you write Bitcoin for like over 300,000 times, it's basically like muscle memory. It's like you probably don't have to think about the writing too much. Maybe I'm wrong. And it's like a time where you can focus on something and clear your thoughts, and it's maybe like meditative, where you can get something out of that. Like because your brain is fascinating because it's not easy to talk so long, and there's some line in there there was some story in there. It's not just like rambling on and it's like all over the place and it does not make sense because then people don't want to listen, but it made sense what you talked, and it had like stories and you can make points there and make a nice video out of that and stuff like that. But does this writing help you in other ways, like sorting your thoughts and making better life decisions and being a more calm and clear thinker?
Yes, that's a very good question. The muscle memory question is very, very interesting. I started out getting into a muscle memory, and obviously there is muscle memory. Like it's absolutely obvious. What I try to do is I try to always go back to concentrating. You can concentrate, like if you write for an hour, you can concentrate perfectly for 1 hour. Like maybe there's a Zen master that can do that, but I'm not that Zen master. But I always try to put a little bit of uncertainty into my writing. People say, "Oh, I have a bad and muddy handwriting." The muddy handwriting is actually on purpose, and I actually put more uncertainty and more squiggles into as much as I can. I try to actually write every word as clearly as possible because people are definitely going to say, you are using software, you are using something fake, you are using ChatGPT, you are just using something. And my idea is I want to experiment. So the muscle memory is definitely true on the one hand. On the other hand, I try to experiment very, very much. If you zoom in into my work, you will see that I try different styles and different things. So the muscle memory is there, but I always try to fight it for reasons of trying to develop my own style, and for reasons of not making it look like it's printed. Because if you want really clear letters, then you can just use a printer. That's not a problem. I want to be self-expressive. Like a famous Street Fighter, Daigo was once asked, "Why are you playing Ryu? You could have played this other character, which is stronger than your character." He said, "I can express myself better with it," and that's what I try. This is true. I have muscle memory. And I try to fight it, not because I hate muscle memory. Muscle memory is perfectly okay. David Goggins, when he runs and he does his amazing things, he also has muscle memory in running, but I have to find it for my style and for not making it look too printed, that it's okay. And the thing with the other ways, yes, I think that's definitely true. I think it's really, you can't really think about personal development and your stuff together. I think if I have stressful situations, writing helps. Writing about this thing, or just writing about your business plan. For example, Jeff Bezos said when he was stressed, when he was starting Amazon, he would write a business plan or he would write an email. He would put it into thoughts. Like, I think generally writing is therapeutic. I think that might be what your question is about. Writing is therapeutic. This is scientifically proven. That's not thought about. You can read many. When I was studying at university, several of my professors and doctors who are really scientists, history, really hardcore scientists who had thousands of publications, they said like for them, writing was therapeutic. They were in a bad headspace and writing definitely helped them. And what you said about walking, I think walking around, I also love walking around. And I think that's also walking and writing are very similar in a way. These are very primal physical activities. And you have so many examples about writing, obviously, but about walking too. Like you have great mathematicians like Andrew Wiles. They have their best breakthroughs through writing when they're away, and then they go in the walking space. But for me, obviously, I walk too. But for me, it's more of the writing. But yeah, this connection, I can definitely affirm that I believe in it too.
Yeah, I started walking when I got a dog because I lived at home and there was like, we had a dog and I never walked before and I was forced to walk. And then I was like, oh, it's interesting that walking actually is nice. And now I walk without dog
Yeah.
also. Um, that's amazing. For getting closer to the end, I wanted to ask you, do you have plans or maybe even like contacts with people that you put your writings in some sort of art form, like some, like maybe the first blocks in some art, or maybe there's like an embedded in there where you can make art form with it, or it's like featured in a Bitcoin gallery. Like, is there some end goal with the pieces of writings itself?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The idea is, I have not so many restrictions. There are so many. I have already been contacted by some Bitcoin related art galleries. I've been contacted by podcasts and stuff like that. And my idea is I want to do many things. If people like Fractal Encrypt or other people want to incorporate my art into their art or something, I'm open to many things. Like there was a famous singer and he said, I always try to evolve myself. I've already experimented a little bit. I've done like certain wood things and I've tried, but so far nothing with my art has come out that I want to say, okay, I want to present it, because I only want to present stuff that I think that is cool, that is really cool. But yeah, definitely, I'm definitely gonna participate in art exhibitions, and I definitely 100% plan on doing some, for example, taking my writing and putting it on some wall, or doing something with tapestry, or cutting it into ribbons and putting the ribbons there. There's lots of, as I said, I have a background in Chinese and background in East Asian literature and writing. Like, there are many things that you can do, but I want to let the market decide. Like, if some art for art, if somebody who does art says, "Hey, I want to incorporate your stuff," if a gallery comes to it, if a podcast like you comes to me and said, "I want to do something, I want you to hold it into camera," or whatever, I'm open to it. But I wish to get like reasonable intellectual ability to do it. Because what I don't want to do is end up at somebody who just sells all their rights away to some company. Let's say in 10 years, this is really popular, and some big company comes to say, let's sign on the dotted line, we give you a couple of bucks, and then all of your intellectual property belongs to us. I always want to say that what people are free to do whatever they want, but they are obviously free to do right to Bitcoin themselves. But if they want to use my stuff, they should credit me, and if they want to do something commercially, they should contact me within reason. Like, I don't want to be like restrictive. I love Bitcoiners. I love what you do. I really love it, and I have many things planned. But I'm leaning back. If few people care about it, I will just keep doing it in a very low key. Maybe some folding, maybe some origami, maybe some easy stuff, depending on what the feedback is, depending on how many people like it, retweet it, whatever, or not. Depending on that, I will take any art form that I can. As I said jokingly, if millions of people like it and they sponsor me, I will literally go with a SpaceX rocket to moon and chisel the moon and chisel the words into moon rock, or go into space station and do it there. The sky is the limit, but it depends what people want. I'm gonna see, like Milton Friedman said, let the market decide. The market will reveal gradually what it wants, like it did for the other artists. The market, they started doing it, they experimented, I do this, I do that, something the market didn't care for, other things it cared about, and then the market revealed the solution to you. And that's the way I want to make it, really. Yeah.
I think this is an extremely healthy mindset and an extremely good way to approach it, and a good way to do it. It's like also how the podcast actually evolved, because it's like I talked with more and more people online and did not record it, and then I was like, yeah, I can record it also, and then all of a sudden I'm doing 5 podcasts a week, and I'm thinking of doing it daily, and yeah, it's really cool.
Mhm.
For our end routine, as you probably know, we have the
Yes.
end routine where the previous guest asked the question for the next guest. I stole that from the Diary of a CEO, one of the podcasts I really like to look. Maybe you also heard about it with
It
Stephen
works with
Bartley.
Bitcoin too, like with one block being hashed next to the other block. So this is a real cool thing to do.
Yes, it's amazing, and I want to do also something with it, like maybe cards, or maybe I don't know. There's a lot of things I can do with that, but right now I'm just using it for the
It's
interviews.
cool. It's really, I really enjoyed it. That's a really good to do that. Really good idea that you picked up there.
Yeah, and in the beginning, I did that. The guest does not know the next guest, but
Mm,
sometimes they ask, and I'm like, yeah, okay, let's reveal who the next guest is. And then I talked
mm,
yesterday with a physicist, the Giovanni guy from the Bitcoin Power Law.
mm,
And he had an interesting question because he's big on maths and physics and stuff like that, and
mm.
how you can imagine numbers and stuff like that. And I explained to him what you're doing, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting because when you have a certain amount of time." And he used the time of 3 months. He's like, when you take 3 months to have like 21 million Bitcoin written down, I'm like, yeah, I think it will take a little longer than 3 months.
Yes. Indeed.
And when you're like, okay, let's say 50 years, it takes like 50 years
Yeah,
for it to
round
like
about.
write it down. How long will it take to write Bitcoin down 34 trillion times? The national debt reference. It's an interesting experiment, and it's like a physical technical question because it's like. There's also this comparison, like how long is it when you have 1 million seconds, and how long is it when you have 1 billion seconds? And it's like the difference is so stunningly big.
But it's
And
unintuitive how big it is, right?
yes, it's like it's hard to imagine. Yeah, and it's like I did not calculate it for the 34 trillion times, but I imagine it's like such a big number. And
Yeah. Also, the question is, what are you going to do it? Because specifically, I want to do it like a marathon about my lifetime. But it's really the interesting thing behind that is really that Bitcoin will live that long. Like I won't live that long, you won't live that long, but Bitcoin will do it. And um, in a sense, the way this is also about my work. Um, I'm trying to reaffirm Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, every single 10 minutes, Bitcoin is going to reaffirm itself. Like if you do it trillions of times, will certainly take more than one lifetime. But it's the cool thing is Bitcoin will do that. And the really cool thing is that some future civilizations might do a variation of my thing. But when people live like millions of years, then they can do it. And that they can answer can then give a, because I don't believe in theoretical answer. I believe in answer that I can give concretely. And yeah, but maybe I really love physicists. I'm a really big fan also of practical physics, especially if they are connected with Bitcoin. So I'm gonna try, if the Buddhists are right, and I'm gonna get reincarnated later, and I'm gonna try to find it out. I'm gonna try to make his 21 trillion challenge a reality. Some people ask me then I should write down like 100 million times another altcoin or something. But altcoins I want to do in my lifetime, but I'm going to try to do it in my next lifetime. If I get reincarnated as another writing happy person, I'm going to try to do it trillions of times. But first of all, 21 million times. Let's go one step at a time, okay?
yeah, there's also the I think there was in some tweets like, why don't you use satoshis like the 2.1 quadrillion?
Yes, that's
Then
also good. Like the
it's a
spirit is
little bit
willing, but
more.
the flesh is weak, right?
Yeah, you're
And then
cheating. You're
somebody
only
says that you can just write sets. It's okay to just write set.
uh,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, of course, that solves all the problems of writing all the sets out. Yes.
it was an amazing podcast. It positively surprised me. I was like, it's interesting that someone does that. And it's like I hoped for exactly that, for like how to stay consistent, how to do the proof of work. But it
Yes.
positively surprised me way more because I never heard you before. I do that all the time where I invite people that I never heard before, but I think there's something interesting about them. And I just do the podcast because what's the worst thing that can happen? I have a bad conversation. Okay,
Worst thing is it's like a dot. Like, oh, let's not talk about it, right? But so far,
and
as I said, the podcast, as I heard, they really gave me lots of value. That's unironically
yeah,
very cool what you're
yeah,
doing.
I have the simple goal to just like speak to as many Bitcoiners as possible,
Yeah.
and maybe when I can now in March do a little bit more, maybe I get over the 300 Bitcoiners mark for this year to interview 300
Yeah.
Bitcoiners. That's why I don't invite people on for second time. Maybe I will do it in the future, but right now everyone is like unique. Maybe I know in 1 year I have like, oh, this was really interesting, I should have him on again. But I just want to interview as many Bitcoiner as possible, and it's also muscle. Like you're my 56th guest now, and I started in December, so it's like the third month, and I'm going to the 60 mark, and it's a great journey to be on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're doing the right thing. If you look at anybody who really got really stuff done in podcasting, like Block Trainer, like anybody, you have to really put in the work. That's nothing is gonna replace the work. Nothing is gonna replace what you're doing. You have to do the work. The work doesn't care who you are. The work just cares about it being done and you putting in the grind. Like the word grind, I avoid the work, but it's really also like in a positive sense, it's about the grind. You can't substitute it.
And there are crazy statistics to that. There's like to the free podcast marks, like when there's 100% of podcasts, they started episode 1. Only 3% of those podcasts make it to the third episode.
Yeah.
And only 1% make it to the 20 episode mark. And there's also another amazing, I was stunned by that statistic because I thought there are so many podcasts out there, but there aren't as many podcasts out there. There are only 400,000 podcasts that did one episode in the last 90 days. Like in the last 90 days, when you go to the statistic where only how many podcasts are there that do it weekly or even like almost daily. I don't have the numbers. I did not find good numbers for that, but I guess that's like way lower. So it's interesting that there are not a lot of people doing it over and over. A lot of people start it. A lot of people try it, but then they lack discipline. So it's really interesting to see that you are doing something.
Yeah, I think it's so valuable. You're doing something that is very different from me. You're talking to a lot of people and getting person-to-person engagement. And this is like the yin and yang. One people that do physical stuff, they program, they do art, they do something that is like more on their person. Other people, they are the connectors. And really, it's like you need both. You need people who do the one thing and the other thing. It's like water and food. You need both water and food, otherwise it doesn't work. You need both. It's necessary, 100%.
Very true. For the end, where can people find you the best? Where can people get in touch with you when they want to find your work, when they want to ask you questions?
Yes, you can just go to my Twitter. It's Robben4Days. Robben, like the football player, Arjen Robben, then the number 4, and the number days, like in day, one day, the plural, Robben4Days. You can just follow me on Twitter X. Currently on Twitter X, my DMs are open. If you are a cool Bitcoiner, then I will most likely follow you back. And you can ask me any questions. All of my stuff is there. And you can engage. In the future, I might do some Twitch, but right now you can just shoot me a DM. And if you're a cool Bitcoiner, and if you're not trying to do anything that is grossly, like I'm not super extreme, but if you don't do anything that is grossly, like you're not trying to sell me some NFT or some altcoin or something, I'm willing to talk about almost anything. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, really, really cool what you are doing, and I think definitely you should start streaming it. It would be fun.
Many people ask about it. If I reach like a certain threshold, if I get like a certain threshold of people, then I'm definitely going to do it. I have all the equipment. I'm just saying I streamed a lot for fun, but if I stream now, I want to really have it persistently. So I want to reach go to 400,000. Maybe 500,000. I think at the end, if I go to 1 million, then it's like the last point, like in a couple of years. But at some point, more and more people keep asking me in DMs right now if I stream it, and I'm a big fan of Twitch. I think it works very well technically. So this is definitely in the future. Definitely.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you.